Hello everyone, got a few dirty jokes for you today. So three guys are drinking in a bar when a drunk comes in, staggers up to the counter, and points at the guy in the middle, shouting, "I just screwed your mom, and it was sweet." Everyone expects a fight, but the guy ignores him, so the drunk wanders off and bellies up to the bar at the far end. 10 minutes later, the drunk comes back, points at the same guy, and says, "She's the best in town at making love." Again, the guy refuses to take the bait, and the drunk goes back to the far end of the bar. 10 minutes later, he comes back and announces, "Your mom liked it." Finally, the guy interrupts. "Go home, Dad, you're drunk." So Britain funded a study to determine why the head on a man's willy is larger than the shaft. The study took 2 years and cost over £1.2 million. The study concluded that the reason the head of a man's penis is larger than the shaft is to provide the man with more pleasure during making love. After the results were published, France decided to conduct their own study on the same subject. They were convinced that the results of the British study were incorrect. After 3 years of research at a cost of in excess of €2 million, the French researchers concluded that the head of a man's willy is larger than the shaft to provide the woman with more pleasure while performing in bed. When the results of the French study were released, Australia decided to conduct their own study. The Aussies didn't really trust British or French studies. So, after nearly 3 hours of intensive research and a cost of right around $75, which is about 3 cases of beer, the Aussie study was complete. They concluded that the reason the head on a man's willy is larger than the shaft is to prevent your hand from flying off and hitting you in the forehead. So a man walks into a bar and sees a farmer sitting at the bar looking depressed. The man walks up to the farmer and asks, "What's wrong with you, pal?" The farmer replies, "Oh, some things you just can't explain." The man then says, "Try me." The farmer looks at the man and begins to tell his story. "So I was out in the barn this morning and I was milking the cows. I started off the milking and all was going well. I filled up my first bucket and was going to grab another, when all of a sudden the cow kicks the bucket with her right leg, so I tied the leg off with some rope to a post. Some things you just can't explain. So I grabbed another bucket and started off milking again, filled the bucket. What does the cow do? Knocks over the bucket with her left leg. Some things you just can't explain. I grab some more rope and tie the leg to the post. So I go to milk the cow a third time. I fill the bucket and the cow knocks the bucket with her tail. There's no more rope left, so I take off my belt and tie the cow's tail to the rafters. As I complete this, I stand up, my pants fall down, and my wife walks into the barn. Some things you just can't explain. So at an International Gynecologists Convention, 2 American doctors and a European doctor were having drinks and talking about work. After a few too many, they started telling stories. The first American decides to talk about the strangest patients he had had. "This woman's vulva was like an apple," he explained. The second American shakes his head. "That's nothing. I had a patient with a vulva like a peach." The European doctor, not wanting to be outdone by his new American friends, said, "We too talk about this. I found a woman with one like a watermelon." The first American laughs and the second American frowns and says, "That's impossible. How would she walk?" The European doctor looks puzzled before saying, "Oh, you Americans, always obsessed with size. I thought we were talking about flavor." So a kingdom not far, far away hold a contest who got the biggest willy. A knight who had just come back from a crusade heard about it and hurriedly changed to his street clothes and ran to the contest venue. Along the way, he met a man he's sure is a manure collector because he is pushing a wheelbarrow. Panting, he asked the man, "Where's the contest?" "It's all over," the man quickly answered. "Shit, I could have won it," said the knight. "Why? How big is your willy?" The knight raised his trousers from the waist, and surely the head of his manhood peeked right on his shoes. "That's nothing," said the man with a wheelbarrow. "I did not even win," removing the cover of the wheelbarrow, revealing his member neatly folded. So Barack Obama walks into a bar, but he is invisible. After attracting the bartender's attention, the bartender says, "Okay, I'll bite." "Why are you invisible?" Barack says, "Well, I found a bottle on the beach and then I rubbed it. And then, importantly, a genie came out. The genie said I could have 3 wishes. For my first wish, I said, let me say this, and this is profoundly important. I want Michelle to marry me. I love her and I think America will love her too." That wish was granted. For my second wish, I said, like all patriotic Americans, I am deeply patriotic, and I want to be president of the United States, so I can serve my country. That wish was granted too. And then, for my third wish, I started by saying, let me be clear. So little Johnny is good in math only if he count his fingers to figure the answer. "Johnny," the teacher asked, "what is 3 plus 3? Johnny started counting his fingers and proudly shouted his answer, 6, ma'am. "Correct, Johnny, but you cheated by counting your fingers." "Okay, Johnny, one more, but put your hands in your pockets," the teacher said. "Johnny, what is 5 plus 5? Johnny must be working with his fingers against because his hands seemed restless in his pockets. Then with a proud grin proudly shout his answer. 11, ma'am. So a Hawaiian woodpecker and a Californian woodpecker were arguing about which place had the toughest trees. The Hawaiian woodpecker said Hawaii had a tree that no woodpecker could peck. The Californian woodpecker accepted his challenge and promptly pecked a hole in the tree with no problem. The Hawaiian woodpecker was in awe. The Californian woodpecker then challenged the Hawaiian woodpecker to peck a tree in California that was absolutely impeccable. The Hawaiian woodpecker expressed confidence he could do it, so accepted the challenge. After flying to California, the Hawaiian woodpecker successfully pecked the tree with no problem. So the two woodpeckers were now confused. How is it that the Californian woodpecker was able to peck the Hawaiian tree, and the Hawaiian woodpecker was able to peck the Californian tree, but neither one was able to peck the tree in their own state? After much woodpecker pondering, they both came to the same conclusion: your pecker is always harder when you're away from home.